Hello, and welcome to episode number 40 of the TEW WWE Challenge run. We are finally in the home stretch. We're finally in the month of August. And this is the week 1 episode of August. Episode of I've it. Let me try that again. This is the week 1 Monday, 1st of August episode of Monday Night Raw. As we can begin the home run build to SummerSlam, the 2-night extravaganza at the end of the month. Without any further ado, let's jump straight into the show.
I won't be break, I'm going away. Every moment's one more chance to stand up or get in the...
Drew McIntyre opens the show. He says that he overcame Garza and Andrade last Saturday, and that he's now onwards towards SummerSlam. Tonight he will find out who his opponent is at the biggest party of the summer, as the main event is a fatal 4-way between Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio, Angel Garza, and Andrade. And whoever it is, he has no plans of slowing down. They'll just get their head kicked off at SummerSlam. So indeed, we're just going to jump straight into this. There's no point waiting. We're 4 weeks away. We're deciding on number 1 contender tonight. And it will be Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio, Angel Garza, or Andrade. Opening match is a tag team match. The Street Profits get a win over the Peak of Physique. Tez pins Tony Nese with a frog splash. 49 for Dawkins, 57 for Ford. 43 for Tony Nese and 33 for Riddick Moss. After that, Charlie backstage, he's interviewing Angel Garza. She asks him about how he's feeling after Vega exiled him from her group at Vengeance. Not Vengeance, Great Balls of Fire. Sorry. He says he was upset at first, but now he can forge his own path here in WWE. And that starts tonight when he gets revenge on Andrade and punches his ticket to SummerSlam. He's then jumped from behind by Isaiah Swerve Scott and Santos Escobar of Selena's little group. And they sort of beat him up, pin him against a wall and ram an equipment box against his leg. And we cut to a commercial as he's grabbing his leg in pain. We come back from the break and they're still helping Garza, but Joe is now back there with him. And he helps him into an ambulance. And Charlie's like, Joe, what is this? Give me an update on the main event now. Garza's injured. Is it still going on? And Joe's like, well, Zelina's little plan won't work. That match will still be a fatal 4-way. You'll just have to find a replacement for Garza. Who will that be? Who knows? 6-woman tag team match. Bianca Belair and Sugar Rush defeated Natalya and the Iconics. Bianca, again, for like the 50th time in the save, has pinned Natty with KOD. Bianca gets a 43, 33 for Candy Floss, 35 for Zaya, 47 for Billy, and a 46 for Peyton, and a 45 for Natty. Again, I didn't click the thing. R-Truth is backstage of his 24/7 title, and he goes through a locker room door. He's trying to get away from the people who are after his belt. But then he ends up in some sort of Viking, little Viking setup from the Viking Raiders. And Ivar puts him through a table and pins him to win the 24/7 title. Just a little segment to get the 24/7 title on the show. Oney, he throws him up and he beats Jinder Mahal in 7:57 with a flying blockbuster. Oney gets a 44, 48 for Jinder. And Oney was working through his drummer's elbow. He'll be fine. I think it goes away in 5 days, and he's working through it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But after the match, Lana comes onto the stage laughing at Oney. She congratulates him, but she said many times over the past month he will regret laying his hands on her. Now, Jinder and Titus, they were just decoys. Meet your real nightmare. That's when, from behind, Oney Lorcan is attacked and beaten up by a man we've never seen here in WWE before. Jacob Fatu, who lays waste to Oney, and Lana gets into the ring and raises his hand, as she appears to have found a new monster to have under her wing and guide here in WWE, and his first port of call is to take out who she's called the dastardly Oney Lorcan. Just a recap of the Seth Rollins, Randy Orton and Edge shit from Great Balls of Fire. And it says Orton will be here next week to explain his actions for the pay-per-view. And he made a new catchphrase in our recap segment, and that's always fun. And then cut back to Samoa Joe in his office. He's with MVP and Paul Heyman. He says that what happened at Great Balls of Fire after the Lashley vs Lesnar match was unacceptable. MVP steps in. He says that, with all due respect, the aggravated assault was on Bobby Lashley and not Brock Lesnar. He didn't bring Lashley here tonight because there's a madman on the loose that not even the Almighty can contain. Since this happened under your watch, Mr. Joe, we will be taking legal action against you unless you can supply us with a respectable offer. And Joe's like, well, what do you want? What would be respectable? And MVP's like, well, since he was on the receiving end of an unexpected beatdown from a madman, he should be rewarded with a United States Championship match at SummerSlam. And Joe's like, alright, fine, it'll be Bobby Lashley against Kevin Owens at SummerSlam for the US title. And then MVP shakes his hand and they leave. And Heyman's like, well, why is the loser of the match last Saturday getting a title shot? And Joe's like, it's because Lesnar has stepped over the line. But quite frankly, he thinks he learned his lesson when he got put to sleep. So MVP sort of bargained himself a US title shot for Lashley at SummerSlam, whereas Heyman's like, well, why is the loser getting the shot? And Joe's like, well, because he was the cunt who kept attacking him and he should be punished, although being put to sleep did that. Tag team match, Path of the Dragon and Aussie Might, the former champions. Path of the Dragon defeat Aussie Might when Bronson Reed comes in and attacks both men. So the former champions lose here, but by DQ. 50 for Carrillo, 51 for Cesaro, 43 for Vink, 48 for Thorne. Now, Aussie might say that what happened to Cesaro and Carrillo will happen to the VIP Nation until they get their titles back. Cedric Ricochet come out with their new friend, the Big Show, and they say Big Show will face Bronson Reed right now. Two big boys go at it and get a 65. Bronson Reed defeats the Big Show in 8 minutes 40 with a top rope splash. Huge win for him. He gets a 46, Big Show gets a 64. Aleister Black promo from his spooky little room. He says that last Saturday he lost to the Messiah's priest. It's official. He has lost sight of who he is. He's a shadow of his former self. That's why he's here. And then the sort of lights flicker on and you can see he's in like some sort of gothic church. Like where they filmed the vignettes for him in NXT when he first debuted, like that sort of place. He needs to remember who I am. I need your help. You know who you are. You know where I am. Come and put me out of my misery. Finish me, he shouts. So, who knows what's going on in the mind of Aleister Black, but he appears to have lost it. Charlotte comes to the ring. She calls out Shayna and says that she wants another shot, as the double count out solves nothing. Charlotte doesn't get Shayna, but instead she gets Asuka and Kairi. Asuka says that she won her match last night, and Kairi proved too why she deserves a shot, because she took Asuka to the limit. And then Shayna says this is all for nothing. She's beaten every woman in that ring, and she doesn't care who she has to do it to again. Then Joe gets up from the desk, and he makes Charlotte and Shayna against the Kabukis in a Tay-Long style tag team match player. This is more than meets the eye. So Kabuki Warriors defeated Shayna Baszler and Charlotte Flair. Kairi rolls up Shayna because it's his attraction from Ruby. Ruby and Riot and Candice LeRae come out during the match. And they walk down to ringside and they just pick up the Raw Women's title and walk off with it, like giggling to themselves because they've just taken the belt. And Shayna's like, bitch, give me my belt back. And then Kairi rolls her up and gets the win for her team. She gets a 54, 75 for Asuka, 70 for Charlotte, and 63 for Shayna. 72 for this match is very good. Vikings are back in their little Viking hut, doing Viking things where Ivar's got his belt, but R-Truth is still in there. He gets up and he's disguised as a Viking. And then they're like, hey, we've never seen this Viking before. How many black Vikings are there? And then Truth rolls up Ivar, wins his baby back, does the splits, and runs away with his new belt. For the 45th time? Seth Rollins promo backstage. He's hyping up the church. He sans Randy Orton, who's not here because, of course, he'll be here next week. Ruby comes in with the women's title, and she offers it up to Seth as her token to the Messiah. She's like, I've got this belt, big man, Seth, here you go. And Seth's like, possessing the championship is one thing, but she needs to actually win it. Then Seth and the other men leave. Ruby looks at the title for a while, and then Liv comes up to her. She's like, that's not yours, bitch. And then slaps her in the face, and then a brawl ensues. Candice pulls Ruby away, and she's like, Liv's not worth your time, she's not worth your time, leave her alone. And they get into a bit of a scuffle because Ruby's taken the belt, and Liv, of course, not happy with that because she's obviously still not finished with Ruby after her loss at the pay-per-view. Angle with the Robert Stone brand. It is like NXT style. Robert Stone's in a pool on like an inflatable chair. Aaliyah is one side, Brandy's the other side, and he's just cutting a promo about how he's the newest, biggest investing star here in WWE, and soon the Robert Stone brand, being Aaliyah and Brandy Lauren, will make their mark here on Monday Night Raw as they sip their cocktails in the pool on their little inflatable chairs with their sunglasses on, looking like dickheads. So Robert Stone brand on their way to Raw. Then catch up with Drew McIntyre and Gorilla before he goes to sit at ringside to watch the main event for the Fatal 4-Way. Charlie asks him if he has a preference on who wins tonight, and Drew says it doesn't matter. He's already beaten Andrade. He's always down to step into the ring with a legend like Rey Mysterio, and he'd love to shut up the Monday Night Messiah. As for the fourth guy, he doesn't care who it is. It could be Tony Nese, it could be R-Truth, could be Brock Lesnar, could be Edge. Hell, it could even be you, Charlie. Doesn't matter who it is. No one is getting in my way at SummerSlam.
Can't you see how your love's affecting our reality? Every time we're down, you can make it right, and that makes you larger than life. Can't you see how your love's affecting our reality? Every time we're down.
Drew then comes out. He takes a seat at ringside just to watch the match. He's not the commentator, he's just sat there at ringside on a chair. Andrade comes out, Rey Mysterio comes out, Seth Rollins comes out. Then we await the arrival of the unannounced replacement for Angel Garza, the fourth man in this match. And then his music hits for the first time since WrestleMania, and out comes AJ Styles. And at 79, AJ Styles defeated Andrade, Rey Mysterio, and Seth Rollins in 28 minutes. He pins Rey Mysterio with the Styles Clash. He gets a 77, an 80 for Andrade, a 70 for Rey, a 90 for Seth. He then grabs the microphone. He laughs. He says, I made it back out of the worst time for Drew McIntyre. I've spent the last 4 months trying to catch up to the WWE on foot, and I finally made it. So, if this man can't be kept down after being buried alive, he certainly won't stay down to one Claymore kick. And at SummerSlam, he'll become a 3-time WWE Champion. 81. Increased our popularity in 33 regions. I probably should sort out this region growth bullshit, because it's really annoying, but of course what matters more than what the game for is what you thought of the show. So you let me know in the thoughts in the comments below, as the home straight build to SummerSlam begins on a high for Monday Night Raw. And do join me next time to see how SmackDown get on their road to the 2-night pay-per-view extravaganza known as SummerSlam. See you then.